Hello, boys and girls. My name is Silo. That's Bob. Bob is here to keep me on track. Today I have a rather interesting topic for you, and that is my dog was sexually molested when she was a puppy. And I know that may sound startling to you guys, and I don't mean by a human being, I mean by a tomcat. It is my suspicions that when Pooches was growing up, not her real name, when Pooches was growing up, she was weaned a little bit too early, and she was placed into a household that had at least a tomcat, at least had a pussycat, and possibly another tomcat. And I say this because soon after I got her, Pooches would not make a sound. Absolutely silent. And at first, for the longest time, I thought maybe she was mute. And then I took her over to a friend's house who had some cats, and she rushed up to the cats like she was seeing long-lost friends. And of course, you know how cats are. Cats were taking one look at this four-legged animal who was encroaching upon their territory, and they were swatting at her and hissing at her and growling at her, and she couldn't understand what was going on. Dogs have a tendency to believe that anything friendly in the type that they know is friendly will be as friendly with everyone else. My dog was in the company of cats who were its mates when she was growing up, so she thought every single cat would be welcoming to her, and that wasn't the case. The strangest thing was that whenever we came back from my friends with the cats, my dog started making this gruntle sound deep in the back of her throat. It was like a and I couldn't figure out what she was trying to do until it suddenly hit me. She was trying to purr. Well, a few weeks later, after she'd gotten used to her new name and the new food, the new house, and the new arrangements, and all the new stuff she was going to, we went to a city park that I know of that's frequented by dogs quite a bit. It's a wonderful city park. They've got about a 2-mile track that circles a lake. They've got a dense growth of trees surrounding the track, and the trees block out the sounds of the city that's around it, and it's a very, very peaceful place. And during the year, people will bring their dogs out to this place to play, to have fun, to play with other dogs, and so forth. So I took her out there. In fact, my previous dog is buried in the woods near this place because she used to love this place so much that she would crap herself dry trying to leave markers for other dogs to let them know that she had been there. So I took my current dog out to this place, and she was in shock. She ran around everywhere. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. She ran around to all these dogs and she was sniffing with them. She was interacting with them. And I linked into her while we were there, and she goes, "They all smell like me." And part of the story that I got from her was that the cats, among the things the cats would do in the household that she was growing up in, is they would mistreat her a lot. But one of the things that they told her was that she was a mutant cat, and someday they would have to kill her to keep her from contaminating the cat gene pool. But until that day, they would allow her to live, and she should be grateful for every single day that they allowed her to live because they were being kind when they shouldn't be. And here she was encountering 20, 30 animals that smelled like she did. She was no longer alone. And then the most wonderful thing happened, and that is when we got back home, she started barking. She generally did it outside, but she was so happy at being able to bark that she started running around the house, around the backyard, which is what she does whenever she's happy, and she was just barking up a storm. And now, anytime that she's out in the yard and you can hear her bark, that means that someone has shown up either in my neighbor's yard or in my driveway or my neighbor's driveway that she has never seen before. So when my neighbor hears her barking, they go and they check their side door and they check their backyard, as do I. Because that means if the dog is barking, that means someone strange is in the driveway. But I know that you're not here for these stories, you're here for the sex. So, one of the things that's interesting about cats is that cats do not play. They attack. In fact, soon after I got my dog, anytime that you would touch her while she was asleep, she would leap a foot in the air and she'd come down ready to attack. She never understood one of the reasons why I thought that she was weaned a little bit too early is she did not understand puppies at play. She thought that whenever another dog was coming on and roughhousing with her, it was going to attack her because that's what cats do. And in addition to this, I got the indication that when the tomcat was getting rousy and wanting to have some friendship with benefits events with the pussycat, and the pussycat was not in the mood, it would swat the tomcat and keep out of my face. And then the tomcat realized Pooches is female. So I got the indication that when the pussycat rejected the tomcat would come looking for Pooches. And he would have his way with her. And I thought this because when I first got Pooches, my hands are big. I own my dogs. When I first got my dog, I would pet her, and because my hands are big, whenever I'd rub her tummy, it would basically rub her in an entire underside. And she got really nervous when this happened. I'm also a naturalist. This means I may or may not wear clothes during the day. The dog would never come up and do skin-to-skin contact with me. If I called her up between my legs, she would always angle herself toward the knee. If I was letting her in and the only way that she could come inside was to pass between my legs, she wouldn't come inside. She considered bare skin contact to be less than desirable, as though it was something that she disliked. I frequently lay on the couch with my dogs. I always call them up to my tummy, and I pet them while I'm watching television, while I'm laying there on the couch. You know, what masters do with dogs. But she wouldn't do this. And then I got the stories from her that the tomcat would come and have its way with this poor little puppy while it was young, until the pussycat decided that it needed to have its moods taken care of, and then it would swat the poor puppy out of the way, get its needs taken care of, and then once that was done, then the tomcat could go back to servicing the poor puppy. Well, you'll be happy to know that with a lot of patience and with a lot of understanding and with repeated calls to do so, I finally got my dog to understand that skin-to-skin contact was not a bad thing. That whenever I call up Pooches and I've got my legs open, with or without clothing, I'm not sexually interested in her. I'm wanting to give her a pat on the head and tell her what a good girl she's been. And one of the other things that you should always use a dog for, we do not use heat in this house. If you ever want to heat up your covers quickly, call your dog into bed and put them on their back, and they radiate heat out their stomach, and your bed will become toasty warm in a matter of moments. In fact, there used to be a band called Three Dog Night, and the way they got their name was the number of dogs that you had to have under the covers indicated how cold of a night it was. And if it was a 3 dog night, it was going to be very, very cold indeed. So I would call up Patches while it was cold out, and I'd have her lie on her back, and I'd be rubbing her tummy, and I'd be telling her what a good girl she was, and I'd remind her about taking her to the park. And while I was getting warm, I would show her that she had nothing to fear from me touching her wherever I might touch her. Accidentally, on purpose, it didn't matter. I was her master, and I was not going to be sexually assaulting my poor dog. I'm sorry, I'm not into such things. It's not my style. And slowly and surely, the dog began to realize that it was in a safe environment and that it could relax and enjoy the one-on-one contact from its master. And I'm glad that I was able to teach her that. My name is Silo. That's Bob. My name is Silo, and these are my words.